What Sylvia's talking about is what is the value of a living ocean to us? And the value turns out to be, life itself is priceless. But what Sylvia's talking about is the ocean living for itself. When she says, what is the value of a whale? What she really means is, what's the value of a whale that is frolicking freely in the ocean? It turns out that that whale frolicking freely in the ocean, not even aware of our own existence, by just living life for herself, she adds value to our own life. And she adds value to our own economy, and she adds value to our own society, just by living her life for herself. And we can take that concept and expand it to nature itself. So what I want to talk to you about is we actually can value nature living for itself, not nature as a resource, but nature as a source of life. Living for itself has actually tremendous value to our own existence. So my whole work is about how do we invest in the living nature? How do we invest in the protection and restoration of the living nature and thereby safeguarding our own existence? That's what my colleagues here are talking about. I'm the economist here, so I'm going to try to talk about it from the finance side. So bear with me. So what we're really after is building nature-based or nature-positive markets. And of course, they cannot be nature-positive if they are not equitable, if they don't pick up everyone, especially the stewards of nature, those that have been for a long, long time looking after nature since time immemorial. So what I want to show you is what is really the value of a whale just frolicking freely in the ocean. Here it is. This is early work we did in 2017. We published it at the IMF in 2019, basically just saying, look, do you know what the scientists here are telling us, that this whale does so many things. First of all, she helps to sequester carbon on her body, and through by feeding on krill that feeds on phytoplankton. The whales eat a lot. Excuse my expression, it's early in the morning. They poop a lot, but that poop is so precious because it has in it iron, has phosphorus and nitrogen, which is what the phytoplankton need in order for them to be so productive. But that's not the only thing that the whales do. By the way, this is something really cool, is when the whales, when they eat a lot of krill, they actually increase the krill. So usually you think of a predator, if you have a predator and feeds on a prey, if the predator were to die, then the prey should thrive. That's not actually what, that's how the scientists figured out this virtuous cycle about the whale. Because when the whale started to be hunted to extinction, the stock of krill actually dropped precipitously. That's how they figured out that the whale was feeding on the krill was feeding on the phyto, and the phyto needed the poop of the whale to survive. How beautiful life is. Turns out that carbon sequestration we can actually quantify. And we have a price of carbon, so we can figure out what is the carbon service sequestration by a single whale. But the whale, when you have whales, you have also krill. You can calculate what is the value of krill, because now it's fished commercially. When the whales are frolicking freely, we also have ecotourism. I mean, we're benefiting from the whales. We take people out to figure out, to watch the whales as they're living their lives, and we benefit from them. We can calculate the services that the whale provides over her lifetime, and I tell you, it's a minimum of 2 million. We can do that even to other systems, living systems. Closer to shore, we have seagrass, salt marsh, mangroves. These are all living systems, living for themselves. When you have healthy, I'm just going to give you one example. When you have healthy seagrass sequesters carbon. By the way, seagrass is really cool. I learned that from the scientists. Seagrass grows at an exponential rate for 50 years and at a constant rate forever. Which technology do you know does that? It's amazing. Seagrass itself captures so much carbon, and if you don't disturb it, it stays there. But when you have healthy seagrass, you have healthy fish stock, so you can calculate the delta in the fish stock. When you have healthy seagrass, it staves off flooding. We know the value of staving off flooding. When you put it all together, the value of seagrass globally is in the trillions of dollars. So what do we do with all these valuations? What we can do, we can build markets around the values that I just talked about. So for example, my colleague here is expert on Bahamas. He's going to show you how the Bahamas is using seagrass to sell carbon credits among other nature credits to the world. So he'll talk about that. I'm going to show you in principle how you would do that. Suppose, for example, we want to sell the carbon of mangroves. All right? So you don't sell the mangroves, you sell the carbon service of the mangroves. Who would be on the demand side? All these companies, some of you are here, that are promising the world you're going to go carbon zero, carbon negative, carbon neutral. Pray tell with what? You need nature in order to do that. We need nature to pull carbon from the atmosphere, the stock, not the flow. I'm talking about the stock of carbon sitting up in the atmosphere. How do you intend to pull it down? The only one way to do that is to protect and restore nature. So the demand side could be these companies that are buying the carbon credits, and these carbon credits accrue from the services of the living system. Seagrass, mangroves, salt marshes, whatever, all these living systems, just by living, they're actually sequestering carbon among other services that they provide. And the money can go to look after the seagrass, if you like, in perpetuity, or the mangroves, and the stewards of nature, which are the local communities and indigenous people. So what you have here is really a virtuous cycle where nature thrives because the whole system is built about protection and restoration of nature. And you cannot do that if you don't look after the stewards of nature themselves. The businesses can thrive because they're achieving their goals. The nature thrives and the community thrives. And this is what I call the win-win-win. Can we do this? We are doing this. What are you doing? Thank you.